You know, with how long I've been doing this, you'd think I'd be in the same location for these. But nope, this bitch still moving every goddamn year. One of these times I'll find a place to live and call it my forever home. Maybe, maybe. But either way, while I still keep moving, I still keep doing this. And 9 years in, we're gonna keep having fun with this. So let's do it, everyone. One time, for the old sakes, roll this intro.
Run the ball. Run the ball.
In that intro, special edition, first of all, shout out made by our good friend River, also known as Subleaf, part of the Cat Quag Rice, and now officially Dog, too, of our group. That does these little fun prediction blah 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 things here on the side. But she made that for me, so, and that's gonna be my my echoed message, not only for the title of this week's video, but for the game that will be occurring at approximately 20 hours from now, because I recorded this late and last second. But you know what? That's just kind of how things go for me. That's how they go. So what can you do? So this year, how do we want to do the 2024 NFL season and my prediction picks? How do we want to do this? Well, I figure, there's no point of going over every game. Because some games, they're obvious. Some games, it's not obvious, but take a shot in the dark. A lot of these picks, at the end of the day, that's all they are. They're shots in the dark. Because we don't know. We don't know. And I think that's a great time for me to talk about what I want to do for this season. And what do I want to do? Well, let's talk about my good friend, who you all know. Every time I do these picks, I got a good old friend I gotta bring up, and his name is Justin. Hello, Justin. This is not his thing. He did not invent this, but he's one of the more vocal people about it. I don't want to say his religion, but that's basically what it is. And that's the NFL's rule of four, which basically states 4 betting underdogs win outright, bare minimum, every week. And the record is what? I want to say there's only been like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, where that has been not true in the last 10 seasons. These are numbers I'm pulling out of my ass. I don't know if it's actually true or not. But this point is, it's essentially, it's unbreakable. It's going to happen. But I'm here to counter with, yeah, it will, but how can we be sure which game it's going to break? Or which games are going to break those? Or how to go through. Because I've been doing these predictions long enough. Me and Justin go back and forth. Our records are essentially the same. And I tell the rule of 4 to go fuck itself. So, is my quote-unquote method of predicting really that better or worse in the sense of the rule of 4? And I think it's up to viewer interpretation. So what I want to do for this season particularly, I want to break down games where you could argue the rule of 4. Because at the end of the day, is the rule of 4 real? Absolutely. But then I counter with, are you going to look me in the face and tell me that you think this team is going to beat this team just because it has to follow some rule? Well, let's talk about that. And the first thing I do want to talk about before we go into those, it's divisional games. A lot of the times, those rules break because of divisional games. And that's where you got to really throw out rules, predictability, all that. You got to throw that all away when it comes to divisional games. Speaking as someone who has watched this iteration of the Ravens lose to the Steelers all the damn time, and back in the day, or I say back in the day, this is 2015, watching Jimmy Clausen beat Pittsburgh when they were in their height with Ben, A.B., Le'Veon. I think Martavius was on that team as well. You get the idea. When it comes to divisional opponents, those interdivision games, throw logic out the window. Doesn't matter what the records are. Doesn't matter what the rosters are. So with that, it's hard to count Vegas accountable for that when it comes to predicting those spreads. Because again, it's hard to say for sure. Now, yes, there are teams that are so much better than everyone else they get to beat them around. Kansas City, 9 times out of 10 is going to finish 4-2, 5-1 against that division. Arguably 6-0 some years. But that doesn't mean one game won't catch them. They lost to Denver for the first time in a while. They lost to the Raiders first time in a while. Like, good teams can lose to bad teams. It's NFL, any given Sunday. These are all real things. So, but with divisional games especially, it's hard to count them on the rule of 4 thing because you don't know where it's going to go. You don't know. So keep that in mind when these picks happen. When we do picks all around the year. Rule of 4 this, rule of 4 that. Divisional games are kind of their own breed, their own thing. So you can't really say much on them. You can't. So let's talk about the other games that have a realistic chance of going either way, or where you say the underdog might be the better bet. And I'm going to start with the Brazil game coming up Friday, with the Packers and Eagles. Packers and Eagles, it's a out-of-country game. So theoretically speaking, there's no home team. And both Green Bay and Philly, they're kind of even, if you really want to think about it. Philly is coming off a horrible collapse. So you're thinking, okay, all this time, player reset, roster reset, coach reset. Maybe we can avoid that collapse again. Because they were a top 3 team going into the first 10, 11 weeks of the season. So, like, you gotta, that foundation is still in there. Yes, you lose some key pieces. Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, a couple others. You bring in Saquon. So, this team still feels the same. And I'd argue they're still in that, like, upper echelon. And then Green Bay, who took a middling season where they eked out a win to go into the playoffs because the NFL loves the 7 seed. By the way, I still hate the 7 seed. Still hate it. I'm glad Green Bay won, but I still hate the 7 seed. But with that, they were able to beat Dallas unexpectedly. Fucking ran them out of the building practically. And gave San Francisco a competitive game. They did. So these are 2 teams that are practically the same, and again, you could go either way with this. Philly being a favorite doesn't make a lot of sense to me in all the context of this being a neutral site, because I think these are evenly matched games. So it's one of those, like, where do you see these teams going? What are you expecting from both? What are your highs and lows? And how do you feel overall? That's why it's a discussion. It's one of those things where it's like you can go either way with this, and that's why the rule of 4 comes into play when you have these either or games. Like me, I'll say this. In an either or game, where it's kind of whatever, and if you want to play the rule of 4 game for the sake of playing rule of 4, I'll take Green Bay. I think Green Bay's a better team. I think Green Bay improves from last year, makes a lot of noise, and goes very far in the playoffs. I do. So these are points I'm willing to take, not necessarily because of the underdog, but mostly because I think Green Bay is the better team here. And I think Philly feels like to me a team this year that's going to start off slow, mainly because you got to adjust to no Fletcher Cox, no Jason Kelsey. Get Saquon adjusted into the offense and hope that he doesn't fall to the 1 yard line so they have to do the tush push every other play. So it's adjusting. Green Bay gets Josh Jacobs, which, sure, whatever. And all these but like no one really left. Yeah, Aaron Jones left, but it's plug and play. Defense, you would assume, got better. The weapons, no one's a true number 1, but hey, any of them could go off for 5-10 catches and 100 yards. Any one of them. Any one of them. And that's why I think Green Bay here stands the most as an overall team. I think their impact will be felt more, so to speak. And if this is wrong, then it's the curse of the green uniform going to Brazil. Do you believe in curses and theories too? I do. I do. And we'll get into that as the season goes on. Trust me, I got my thing I latch onto that more often than not is right. More often than not is right. Keep an eye out. And another one. This is going to be my favorite. One more game I'll talk about. The Cardinals and the Bills. Now this game is interesting from the sake of, is Buffalo the better team? Yes, sure. But they're adjusting to the season. They lost a lot of defensive pieces via the free agency. Arguably their best defensive player goes down with an injury. They lose Stephon Diggs. They bring in Keon Coleman, who I'm very high on. I've invested a lot of dynasty stock into Keon Coleman, so I'm very high on this player. I think he's going to be really great, and I think Josh Allen's going to rely on him early and often. But that comes with molding, meshing, making this work. Arizona, I'd argue, they're also in a kind of whatever happens, happens. Arizona as a team last year was, Kyler is going to be gone for most of the season. He won't come back till late. It's not really going to matter. We're just going to do our thing, ball, be cool, figure it out. Which helped the Josh Dobbs legacy. Which, yes, him getting traded to Minnesota also helped that. But that little mini run, the insanity run, as we'll say, it helped. It inspired. It meant something. And I think the Cardinals are going to come into this season with okay, we have Kyler now. We have one of the best offensive prospects in recent memory, who should absolutely be great. He absolutely should be great. And I'd argue, not argue, but this is my take. I think he runs away with Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't think it's competition. Now, if Caleb gets the Bears to the playoffs, maybe. But I think Marvin Harrison runs away with his Rookie of the Year. I don't think it's a competition. That's how I feel. Because with Kyler back, that offense should be good. James Conner should be respectable. And if not, they drafted a guy who I hear a lot of good things about. So, I think this team wants to prove that they're back. I think this team has motivation to want to be back. Buffalo has run out of gas from all these failures against KC, and especially last year. This is both Buffalo and Baltimore. If you couldn't beat KC like that, there's less motivation. And so I think out the gate, it's just Arizona has more motivation, more energy, and I think they win this game. I don't care what the spread is. I think Arizona just has more energy to win this game. That's what I think I do. So that's why I'm a fan of Arizona. And we can go back and forth with a lot of these other games. Picking games on stories, player motivations, who's better, who's worse. We can go over this. And we can go on themes. We can go on storylines. Bengals got a bunch of drama going on, as is. And even then, the last 2 or 3 years, they've been shitty week 1 teams. Hell, they've been shitty week 1 through 4 teams. This is a team that has not really been awake or open or motivated or tried in the first couple of weeks of the season. So while the Patriots are going to be a bottom 5 team probably, ain't no way I'm laying 8.5. Ain't no way I'm laying 8.5 to this Bengals team. I don't trust them to be good. Now, should they beat the Patriots by 10 plus? Absolutely. They absolutely should. But they're the week 1 Bengals. They've been doing this for the last 2 or 3 years now. This team does not perform well. And I would not be surprised if they lost this game. I wouldn't. But either way, I think you take those points. I'm not laying that many points to a team who has a history of not doing well to start the season. Also why I'm not taking the Colts. They have a history of not doing well recently. And I'm having a hard time buying in on Anthony Richardson stock. Do I think he's going to be a good quarterback? Sure. I like my quarterbacks healthy. That's all I'm saying. And yeah, I'll just drop the rest of the list right here for y'all, so you can see all my picks straight up and against the spread. Other notes I'll make: Ravens sure is a motivation, but I think the Chiefs just kind of have a flex night or whatever, so I give it to them. Caleb Williams, most rookies don't do well in their first time, but I think Caleb Williams does fine. Probably throws a bad pick here or there, but I think the Bears are an overall better team than Tennessee, so I like the points. Falcons blow out Pittsburgh. My other big upset, I guess, would be the Panthers beating the Saints. I'm very low on the Saints. Now, I know my friend Nate, he's going to talk about that defense, and I'm all in for it. I think that defense will be really good. I really wish they got Simmons, because they could have been arguably a top 10 unit. But without, I'm skeptical. And I do not think the Saints are going to have a good year. I think Coach will get fired. I think Carr will probably either be benched or let go after the end of the season. This is not a good team. And they really should embrace a tank. Or at some point see if Spencer Rattler is anything like we thought he would once be once upon a time. Remember when we thought he would be the number one quarterback? Remember that? And yeah, admittedly, I'm also scared about Seattle minus 5.5. I am intimidated by it, but I'm pretty low on the Broncos. I don't think they'll be that team yet. I'm excited for Bo Nix, but I don't think they're that team yet. Lions and Niners. All I can ask for Monday night is Aaron Rodgers, please do not tear your Achilles. Please. That's all I can ask. And that is all for my week 1 predictions. I don't know if this is going to be the format I'll run for the rest of the season. This is just my kind of feel out. See how I'm feeling. See what we're working with, looking at. Like, it's when you do these long enough, you want to try to make it feel fresh every time. Because it's very simple to just, go on to Twitter and be like, 16 games, I think this person will win. I think this person will cover. Like, it's very simple to do that. But with these, I want to give, deeper meanings, explanations, blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, this is just me guessing. That's all these are. It's me guessing. Can I be right? Absolutely. Can I be wrong? For sure. Trust me, I'm not 272-0. I'm not. I usually end up with 100 losses, or a little under that, every year. That's kind of my average. So, that's the beauty of this. It's just guessing. And it makes you wonder why I shouldn't be paid. Like, you're going to hire all these other people to talk nonsense. I saw someone say Caleb Williams was a top 6 quarterback. And that boy got a talk show and everything. Where's my talk show? Where's my money? I could say bullshit too, no problem. But hey, I reserve that for my own personal opinion. As far as other updates for these videos, we're going to be doing 3 fantasy leagues. Unfortunately, Discord's finest could not find enough people to replace drop-down members, so no Discord's finest this year. So we'll be doing 3 fantasy leagues on that. The totals, yet again, follow the Twitter or the YouTube community page. I'll try to update that, but no promises. And be on the lookout for the cat, quag, rice, and now dog picks as well. On Twitter, we will be doing our straight-up picks throughout the entire regular season, like we did last year. And we're hoping to have some fun with it. Me and my friends all around the community are giving out our Super Bowl predictions. So I would like to introduce you to all of my friends' predictions, who they think they're going to win and why. Or not why, I'm not the one that said why, but who they think is going to win. That's their matchup predictions. And for fun, I want to go over my final predictions for how I see the seeding breaking down. So for my official 2024 season prediction, and seedings. I'm going Kansas City as the 1 seed, Baltimore as a 2 seed, Houston as the 3 seed, and Miami as the 4 seed. I'm going to have Cincinnati take the 5 seed. I'm going to have Buffalo take the 6 seed. And I'm going to have Cleveland take the 7. With the Chargers being the one team that misses out with a 9-8 record. Over in the NFC, I'm going with San Francisco as the 1, the Green Bay Packers as the 2 seed, Philadelphia Eagles as the 3, and Atlanta Falcons as the 4. With Detroit coming in on the 5 seed, with a very impressive season, just, Green Bay out and impressed them. I'm going Seattle as my 6th seed. I think Mike McDonald will take that defense and make them even better. As far as the offense, I don't know what to say about them. I trust in the weapons, and I trust Gino to, be Gino. He's been one of the better deep ball throwers the last few years. I trust him. And 7th seed, I have Dallas. Dallas is still a good team, but they didn't really improve much, and I think they're due for some regression. And with that 8 seed just barely missing out, I have Tampa. I think Tampa still is a competitive team. I think they'll still field a good team. There's a lot of powerhouse in the NFC, and now with Atlanta being a competitive team in that division, I just feel like Tampa will miss out. And then, my totally not biased Super Bowl prediction. I have the Ravens defeating the Green Bay Packers in this year's Super Bowl. That is my prediction. For the rest of my predictions, and that of the Cat Quack Rice and Dog group, those will be posted on Twitter, probably before this video gets released, so you'll see them there. And with that, that is all from me. Welcome to the 2024 season. Let's have some fun with it. My name is Catherine. You're on the Blank Canadian Cat YouTube channel. I say meow. I roll intros. Trust me, we're getting a new intro eventually. It's outdated. I know. We're working on it. We'll get a new one out here eventually. And thank you all. I shall see you for week 2. Peace, love, and trust. Goodbye, everyone.